so in something as chaotic as a battlefield, the focus and determination and ability to zero right in is probably my first thought. If someone came at me like that, I would be demoralized.
Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen is out for early access now, which means we can start deep diving on the cool stuff that comes with this new book. And that includes a new feats structure and backgrounds and some new custom feats that are going to help you survive the dangers of Dragonlance and build either a Mage of High Sorcery or today's deep dive, a Knight of Solamnia. So to talk through all of that with me and maybe make some picks, please welcome back Sandalev.
Hello, it's so good to be back. I am excited to be a knight.
So the Knights of Solamnia are a once proud order who were tarnished in the eyes of the people by their association with a great disaster in the past, and the individual knights now have to face a choice of how to carry forward and stick to their oath and follow their code, and potentially get embroiled in some fun adventures at your table. But they also have some wonderful feats and a background that will guide you down the path to creating it. So let's talk about choosing the background Knight of Solamnia. Any class that has martial prowess can be a good fit for the Knight of Solamnia. Fighters and paladins make up the bulk of the knighthood's forces. Clerics, often with the war domain, can also be found among the knight's ranks. And for a more unusual take on a knight, you could consider a bard of the College of Valor, a barbarian of the nature god Habakkuk, one of the patron gods of the orders, perhaps adopting the path of the zealot. There are some suggestions in Shadow of the Dragon Queen for who might be a good fit for knights. The prerequisite to take this background is that you're playing in Dragonlance. And along with your standard background goodies, you are going to get the Squire of Solamnia feat. Now, the Squire of Solamnia feat is going to give you two very fun things. First is a little bit of assistance mounting and dismounting on and off your horse there. And the second is one called Precise Strike. Precise Strike is an ability that is going to let you give yourself advantage, and if you hit, do a little bonus damage, and let you keep trying to use it a couple of times a day.
Absolutely no one says no to a little extra source of advantage that the Precise Strike gives you. So anytime you're staring down the barrel of a disadvantage you really don't want to have, maybe you are a martial type and you've taken something like Great Weapon Master with a -5 to attack at the +10 to hit, having that source of advantage makes it more likely that you will really get that strike in. And when you do, you also get to roll that d8 and add the number rolled to your damage. It's like a little mini smite. And you get all the uses back on a long rest. It's a versatile thing that is useful to any and everyone to have. I guess everyone should just go be a squire.
Now, being a squire, of course, means that you have begun to train in the ways of the Knights of Solamnia, but you are going to face a choice as you go further down that path, because the Knights of Solamnia have 3 different orders. The Order of the Crown, the Order of the Sword, and the Order of the Rose. Each of these is associated with a different patron god from the old gods, the true gods, to whom the knights still hold true. And they are going to each come with a slightly different focus, a different virtue that they emphasize. So to start with, most squires will continue on into the Knights of the Crown. You are devoted to loyalty, to obedience, and this is going to give you a sort of a teamwork boost. With this 4th level feat, the Knight of the Crown feat, you're a Knight of Solamnia aligned with the Order of the Crown, a group that extols the virtues of cooperation, loyalty, and obedience. You excel in group combat and gain these benefits. You're going to get an ability score increase to your physical stats somewhere, and you're going to get something called Commanding Rally, which is going to let you let somebody else take a swipe at someone.
I know that sometimes I've been in a situation where I've done my attacks and I've done a bunch of damage and they look, they're about to fall over, but now I'm out of actions. The turn has passed beyond me. Well, as someone with access to this Commanding Rally, if I see my friend in that situation, I can say, get him, just hit him one more time. And they do. It is a lovely way to help out your team when there are just that handful of hit points left. It can really make a difference in a fight.
Now, you can be a Knight of the Crown your whole life, but you might continue on sometimes in the course of the story, or you might head straight for the Order of the Knights of the Sword. In this case, your patron god is the god of just war, and you are devoted to the virtue of courage. And sometimes courage means striking fear nobly into your enemies. So with the Knight of the Sword, you are a Knight of Solamnia aligned with the Order of the Sword, a group devoted to heroism and courage. Bravery steals your spirit, granting you these benefits. These are going to give you, one of your mental stats is going to go up, and you get something called Demoralizing Strike, which will either actively frighten or at least impose some disadvantage on your enemies.
This is going to be something that you do over and over. There are going to be 1,000 different flavors and 1,000 different encounters where you might use this ability. For me, I love the trope of a good hallway fight in superhero stories where the baddies are throwing themselves at you and the hero is just continuing grimly down to face the opponent at the end of the path. And so in something as chaotic as a battlefield, the focus and determination and ability to zero right in is probably my first thought of how if someone came at me like that, I would be demoralized.
That would be a reasonable response to watching this person barrel down at you. The third of the devoted Knights of Solamnia feats is the Knight of the Rose. Now, some knights will have walked both of the other paths before they get here. In this case, you are devoted to the god Paladine, who some folks will know is a very important part of the traditional pantheons of Dragonlance. You're devoted to the virtues of wisdom and justice and leadership. And in addition to your benefits, which in this case are a +1 to your con, wisdom, or charisma, which I thought was an interesting set, you get something called Bolstering Rally. And at this point, you're going to use your knightly prowess to grant some temp HP to your allies, to keep them on their feet.
So the key for me here is that you're using your bonus action, and that, to me, goes surprisingly well with a spellcaster like a cleric. Because this isn't a spell, you can use this without using the double spell rule, that you can't cast 2 spells in the same action unless one is a cantrip. By using this, you could heal someone on your turn and still have access to this bolstering rally. And because clerics often don't have I hit them and then I hit them again, or I hit them and then I use a cunning action use of their bonus action, you have something that you have on hand to make use of without getting in the way and trafficking some of your class features.
All right, so with all of these tempting options before us, with this feat structure in mind, let's build something. Sam, did you have any ideas based on a Knight of Solamnia of what you might want to put together?
Well, in looking through them and looking through the Knight of Solamnia background and the first level feat Squire of Solamnia, I think it's very easy to focus on the power of the precise strike and not as much on the mount up. And what if we just made a whole character about that?
That could be the foundation of a very interesting character. Let's hop in the builder. So first, for our horse combat-based character, I'm gonna need a better name for that eventually. Where are we starting out? What's our base for this?
Yes, I used to take variant human pretty often for the feat, and even though you can do that with a lot of lineages now, I found I really like humans. There are a lot of humans in Dragonlance, and so I went with a variant human with the mounted combatant feat.
Now, what does that mounted combatant feat do for us?
Mounted combatant feat allows us to have advantage on melee attack rolls against any unmounted creature that is smaller than your mount. You can force a targeted attack at your mount to target you instead because let's be real, no one is allowed to hurt your mount. And if that mount is subjected to an effect that allows it to make a dexterity saving throw, it'll take only half, and saves to take only half. It instead takes no damage if it succeeds, and only half if it fails. Kind of like a little mini evasion, but just for your mount friend.
So we're starting off on the right 4 feet. What class are we choosing?
Well, I went with the Paladin because for a lot of us, this will be our first foray into playing in the Dragonlance setting, and sometimes it's nice to go with the flow and experience it, as I know I will be doing for the first time.
And we, just for the fun of it, we're gonna go ahead and put ourselves at 4th level so we can declare our order. We may not fill out all the details here, but do we have a subclass we'll have picked out by that time?
I was thinking of going with the Oath of Redemption. The idea of redemption is really thematic and central to the Knights of Solamnia as an order in this moment, and so it's not just about the build, but also about where that order is right now and where your character might fit into it.
I love that. And of course, you have your own choice of what you personally might have been through that would take you along this path. Do we have a fighting style in mind for this paladin?
I'm a big fan of Blessed Warrior. I will take it any opportunity I get. Take guidance and spare the dying. I really like helping out my friends. There are a bunch of abilities coming through in these backgrounds and feats that help you help your friends. Paladins involve helping your friends, and guidance and spare the dying to help your friends. It's a collaborative game.
Now, what background might we be choosing for this one?
I foreshadowed it earlier. I do want to take a Knight of Solamnia.
All right, we are going to take the new Knight of Solamnia background, which is going to come, of course, with our athletics and survival proficiencies, with our choice of trinkets, and our Squire of Solamnia feat. To put this character together, we are going to make sure that we've added all of the feats and extra things that go with this. And when we get to our sheet, Sam, the big question, which order are we joining?
I think for this one, it would be good to have an Order of the Crown.
This means you're going to have commanding rally for this character. So talk to me about how this knight uses their mounted combat skill, their commanding rally, and that little bit of Blessed Warrior power you brought to the table. How would you play this character, or what tactics would you advise for folks who might like this build?
Well, we have a lot built in to the open field of battle. The Paladin has the Find Steed spell to get access to that mount all the time. You can mount up very quickly, and you are very good as a mounted combatant. But you're not always going to have access to that mount. Occasionally, sometimes we are in small places with low ceilings, and that is where you will still get a source of advantage from your precise strike. As a squire, you are always using pieces of that background feat to help you in battle, and because you are a Knight of the Crown, you can help your friends take advantage of same.
I would personally feel demoralized facing this knight, with or without you having chosen that particular set of advantages for yourself in this build. Thank you so much for this look at what we can put together with these new Dragonlance-themed feats. Play around with them yourselves now that it is out in early access, or as soon as it gets here for everyone on December 6th, to find the combinations that speak to you and unlock the potential of these wonderful new options for Dragonlance. Sam, where can people find you?
I am on Mastodon at Delevely, Delevely, at masto.ai. You can also find me throughout the Twitchernet at twitch.tv/Delevely.
And if you enjoyed this little look at what Sam might do with Dragonlance, you might want to stay tuned, because there might be some more good stuff coming our way. We will see you for the other half of the feats breakdown in just a little, and we'll see you next time on D&D Beyond.